Hello there my fellow Holotable heroes, it's that time again where we have a brand new series of conquests running with a brand new unit to unlock, which is Malchus this time, so I hope you're excited as I am to get this journey started. Now as always I will be updating my SWGOH Life website with all the latest video guides I'll be creating for the upcoming conquest next week, so you're able to find these here, the link in description below. But in today's video I want to go through the Feats guide as well that I added to my website, and also for those of you that you do like to follow along my daily plan, I've updated this as well with all the latest teams and feats. There's always let's talk about the recommended discs, I guess, as well. It's good news. It looks like we have the return of the Amplify Agony data disc sets, thermal exhaust and all this other stuff. So there are really two disc sets you can go for. So one is gone in 30 seconds, this set, you're probably familiar with it, but you've got at least 2 stacks of Amplify Agony, Volatile Accelerator and Unstable Decelerator, and you will be totally demolishing most enemies out there. Or if you go via the self-destruct disc set as well, where you're running multiple caustic emission discs and thermal exhaust, the enemies will be literally blown to bits in a couple of turns once those thermals start popping. Now while the self-destruct disc set is definitely more fun to watch, it's not maybe as useful as the gone in 30 seconds, because we have all these feats where you have to defeat enemies using certain factions, certain characters, and if they explode from thermal detonators, that will not count. That's why for me, if I do need to choose between certain discs on the same nodes, I always prioritize the gone in 30 seconds disc set. Now before I get into the feats themselves, let me just again remind you that there are up to 34 key cards you can skip to get max rewards, which usually it's quite good, quite flexible, but as you will see in Sector 5, you have to have Genonite Cal Kestis for one of the boss battles. So it's 5 key cards that basically everybody aside from 2,000 people that unlocked him will be missing. So really you only have 29 key cards for the flexibility. Furthermore, if you don't have Darth Malgus, there's actually 25 key cards tied as well to Malgus himself. So between Genonite Cal Kestis and if you don't have Malgus, you are already missing out on 30 key cards, which you only got 4 to spare. So I think this is definitely going to be one of the toughest conquests, not because the feats themselves are actually quite straightforward and in one way less grinded than before. Even though there's a little bit less overlap between sector and global feats, but you do need very rare specific units, lots of conquest exclusive units in these feats, as you will see. So hopefully you do have those conquest units to get max rewards, but otherwise let's now start by reviewing the global feat. So we have a brand new actually here global feat, the challenge path. Before it was the grand victory one where you have to defeat 500 enemies, and this one you have to defeat only 250 enemies, but they all have to be on the golden challenge path. But anyway, because you will want in most cases to always go on this challenge path to get, you know, more choices from the data disc nodes, this you will just kind of do as you're following along. Then we've got our first global faction feat, which is for clones. So you have to win 40 battles with a full squad of clones. Now because we have now Bad Batch, you know, for about 2 years or so already in the game or something like that, we've got 2 full clones teams, and both are very adequate in Conquest, especially paired with the gone in 30 seconds data disc set. So this shouldn't be too much of a problem here to achieve between these 2 powerful clone teams. Now this one is gonna be a bit of a stinger for some of you out there, because you have to win 40 battles with Malgus surviving, and Malgus obviously is a conquest unit. So for those of you that you were not able yet you know, to play hard conquest when Malgus was as a reward, you may not have Malgus yet because it takes forever to unlock him for proving grounds. So this definitely will be painful for those of you that you can't do this. So this you will be missing out on 15 key cards. And then later on you will see there's actually another feat tied to Malgus as well. So if you don't have Malgus, I think it's going to be almost impossible for you to get max crate in the next 3 conquests. Up next is a feat where you have to win not just with a Phoenix squad, but with specific Phoenix members, and they all have to survive. So it needs to be Captain Rex, Chopper, Ezra, Hera, and Kanan. So if you got low gear Phoenix, you know, this might be a struggle to for that everybody survive, because it's not like you've got 2 free powerful Phoenix units, the rest are garbage and you can just win the battle. No, they all have to survive. So personally, I think I'll be skipping this feat just because, especially Captain Rex, you know, he's not that geared up, he's only 3 stars, but I'll see obviously what I can do. Moving on, we've got the return of the Kalar feat, but this time they also added that you can use Jedi Knight Cal Kestis. So either before we had Cal or Seer Junda defeating enemies, now that can also be Jedi Knight Cal Kestis. For those of you that unlock Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, probably this is going to be a fun feat. For the rest of us, we'll just have to again revert back to some sort of Jedi Master Luke cheese that we've done before. And yes, we knew this was coming because it's the latest, I guess, new faction added to the game, which is the Wookiees. So you have to win 20 battles with a full squad of Wookiees. Now, unlike the Phoenix one, they don't all have to survive. And then if you do have the Amplify Agony data disc equipped and things like that, the 2 Chewies, so the Chewbacca, the OG Chewie, I guess, and 3PO and Chewie, they can probably carry the battle, and the other guys are there just for the feat. So I don't think this is going to be as challenging as it looks like. And then we've got the 2 like additional, I guess, here feats, whereas before we were given data disk and we had to then, you know, trigger the data disk effect X amount of times. This time both over prepared and deployable cooling system, these are actually consumables, at least that's how it looks like from the data mine. So you just need to have them equipped and do whatever once and you will be credited for the feat. That's why no team suggested, because you can just pretty much do whatever you want with these 2 consumables unlocked. Let's move over to the Sector 1 feats now. So we have the return of the droid feat yet again. So the droids have grown over the time, and I think we've got now kind of like 4 legit droid teams depending on what you've got. If you do have the resistance droids, you can build a team around Rey, Jedi training, maybe throwing 3PO and Chewie in there as well, because he will be assisting whenever R2 and C3PO use ability, because these 2 are rebels. Then obviously you've got the General Grievous squad as well. The reason why I didn't include here B1s and B2 and Magna Guard is because we also have in the same here Sector 1 no tanks feat. So I'm trying to build out the droid teams that don't use tanks, and as well throwing in IG-88 in there for the ability blocks. Then if you do have Dr. Aphra, you can also build some sort of dark side droid teams around her. I mean, IG-11 I guess is not a dark side, but just put him in there because actually he's a healer, but he's got a taunt, so he could be useful. Otherwise, you know, if you do want to go full dark side, you could maybe add in HK47 also. And then if you got Sortie and T3, you know, they go well together as well with some other droids. So kind of like really 4 good droid leaders here to build around. Or if you are a Lobot fan, I guess you could try something with Lobot as well. Alright, so as mentioned before, we have the no tanks feat. Many ways to do this, but obviously the teams that I'm kind of recommending here are the ones that have overlap either within the sector feat or as well global feats. So just kind of repeating some like Rey or Grievous droid teams, and then as well throwing in a clone team for the global clone feat as well. Obviously kind of mix and matching here 501st and Bad Batch, removing, you know, things like 5s and Wrecker. And then we got defense up feat, as you know, just Clone Wars Chewie lead and any other units. But this time, hey, maybe might as well throw in the rest of the Wookiees in there and try and win the battle, right? Otherwise, even if you lose the battle, the defense up will still count. And the final feat we do have here is the ability blocks. Again, trying to get some teams to cover multiple feats here. So if you're running Sortie, I think T3 on his basic, he's got like some 65% chance or something to land ability block on his basic. And then IG's got a pew, 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 AoE that lands ability blocks as well. And same thing, you could also run Grievous and then IG-88 under his lead as well for the ability blocks. And finally, putting some sort of Sith theme around Malgus, because remember, we do have that global feat with Malgus surviving. Just chucked in all the Sith that do have ability blocks, like Traya, she does it on her special, Bastion basic, Vader on basic, Talon basic. Oh, I guess you could also throw in Dooku there as well instead of Traya, because I think he's got as well ability block on basic. So I think it's a nice way of kind of knocking out some ability blocks as well as Malgus feat at the same time. Now let's go to the mini boss battle. So as you will see, it looks like the mini bosses are the same as in the previous Conquest, so we will again be facing Darth Vader mini boss in Sector 1, and the first feat you have to take care of is with Kylo Unmasked surviving. Obviously you can use anything here really. I just thought, you know, maybe chuck in troopers, because Veer's got an ability block and Dark Trooper is a droid as well, so you know, usually he's the one doing all the damage, so you can get some droid kills as well while you're knocking out this feat. And then Hoki Allegiance, yeah, just throwing usually General Grievous if you need more droid kills, or otherwise clones are also usually a good option if you want to knock out one of the global clone feat as well. And the final bosses, however, are different than previous. It's only mini bosses that are being repeated. So we are battling Crosshair, and you have to win with Ben Solo surviving. So it's again like the Malgus thing here for the global feat. It's a Conquest unit, so whether you have it or not, you know, you might miss out on some of the key cards here. And as well, you know, I think Ben Solo does have some sort of like, I guess, Rey. There are some sort of synergies with Rey Jedi training as well, so might as well run him under the Rey and droid team to get more droid kills as well. But obviously we'll have to wait and see how juiced up the enemies will be, but luckily it's Sector 1 shouldn't be too difficult. And for Hoki Legions, again, Grievous is kind of the default team to get this done. We'll have to wait and see, can we get away without using tanks in this one, just to knock out another no tanks battle here in Sector 1. Alright, let's move over onto the Sector 2 feats. So we've got Rebel Fighters. I think we had this before a few months ago. But anyway, you can build some sort of Mon Mothma team. Now, not most optimized, as you can see in Mon Mothma team, missing some key pieces. But I'm hoping with the right data this set, you can get away with using Rebel Fighters that are not attackers, because all the good Rebel Fighters are attackers. At least these guys, hopefully they can get a job done, because then here in Sector 2 we have the no attackers feat as well, so you can be knocking out Rebel Fighters and no attackers at the same time. Another option that I've done before as well is using, again, kind of Jedi Master Luke cheese team if you want, and you can just keep calling Biggs to assist. Throwing in Yoda there for the foresight feat for this sector, and again not using any attackers, and then Shakti. And then if you don't have voluntary vanguard, you will need what to put tank tech on Luke. So we got no attackers, again just kind of trying to put some sort of rebel fighters here without attackers, and then some sort of teams there here with inquisitors without. Now most inquisitors are attackers as well, but I'm pretty sure we can put some sort of here Inquisitor team, maybe with Malgus for the global feat, and then bringing in this Inquisitor here for the purge, and as well Foresight here in Sector 2. Or another option is as well doing some sort of Palpatine cheese team, as we have done before, to be knocking out purge. Or of course also, as mentioned before, clones here are good for the no attackers. We also got Foresight here, like Tech, he puts Foresight on bad batch allies, so you're kind of knocking out global clones feed. Get a few foresights, and as well obviously not using any attackers. And then purge, well, you're gonna use whatever inquisitors you've got here. So again, some sort of, if you don't have Grand Inquisitor and Riva, some sort of combination with Malak or Palpatine like we've done before. Otherwise having a Riva in there obviously is very powerful there. Obviously not using Grand Inquisitor, he's an attacker, trying to avoid attackers here, just throwing in Malgus in here for the global feed. And all we can do similar, like, you know, Master Luke or Palpatine cheese teams for the purge, as we have done previously. And then finally Foresight. Now there is lots of ways to gain Foresight. There are probably about 10 teams I could list here, but again I try to focus on teams that can get the Foresight done, as well as some of the other feats in this sector. And then we got mini boss, so the same Beskar Mando team. If I remember, this Beskar Mando team, their speed was really jacked up, so we'll have to wait and see how this will play out. I guess if you have solid Wookiees, you could just run Tar full lead. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. Otherwise, we can just try out what we did before sometimes. I believe for when it was Sana surviving, just using some sort of Han and Chewie, their squad, and you could just quickly blitz them. So hopefully then your weaker unit can survive. Now, final boss is actually battle versus Rancor and Gamorrean guards, according to the data mine. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that one will play out. Will they actually have a Rancor like Jabba that they call in and that instantly defeats one of your guys? I don't know. Anyway, similar like in the Priest one, you need to have Saw surviving. And obviously I was thinking, well, since I think Saw is a rebel fighter, could we put some sort of a rebel fighter under Mon Mothma lead here? team together to also knock out a few rebel fighter kills along the way. And then the other feat is you have to win with a full dark side squad, so might as well, I guess, knock out a few purge feats as well here while you're already defeating the boss here in sector 2. Let's move on to sector 3 now. Now, as mentioned before, Malgus is going to be a key unit for this one because not only he's got a 15 keycard global feat, there's also a 10 keycard feat in sector 3 for We Have Returned. You have to gain this We Have Returned buff 60 times, and the only way to do this is using Darth Malgus. That's why I said before, if you don't have Malgus, I think it's going to be really challenging here to complete the max rewards. But anyway, We Have Returned 60 times, so some sort of here Sith Empire team together. We also have Stagger feat to do in this one, so definitely include Fallen Bast in here because she's got that Fear, Stagger, sort of lots of debuff ability that will help you there. Then we've got Geos, so you have to defeat 50 enemies with Geos. Now Geos, I remember in the past, even at gear 12, you know, with the right data discs, they can still get the job done here, so hopefully shouldn't be too difficult there to find some victims to defeat. And worth noting, Sunfac on his special, he applies Stagger as well, so a little bit more Stagger here. And we've got Galactic Republic. Now there's probably about six Galactic Republic teams, I guess you could build here, but again, I just focused on the clones because we do have the global clone feat. So personally, I'll just be knocking out clones and Galactic Republic. I won't be using others. Otherwise, obviously, you can use Padme, Jedi Master Kenobi, General Skywalker. And then, as mentioned before, we got Stagger. So same thing, Stagger. They're probably better units than Basti and Sunfac to get Stagger faster, namely like Vedhan on his basic and things like that. But I just want to focus on these because you have to gain, we have returned 60 times. You have to defeat there as well 50 enemies with Geos. And probably, I reckon you could get like 5 Staggers with Basti per battle and maybe 1 Sunfac. So really in total, you will be doing probably more than 10 battles here with Geos and as well Malgus Sith Empire squad. So you will just kind of complete the Stagger feat along the way. I think there's no need to focus on it too much. And mini boss, again repeated, will be fighting Palpatine with Starkiller, and I think his Omicron is active there, so this one's always a tough one. So maybe we can knock out here something with General Skywalker because the feat is that 5 has to survive, so maybe full 5 first, Galactic Republic squad, and obviously you have to win without using Galactic Legends. If this works, you will knock out both mini boss feats in a single attempt. And then for the final boss, we'll be fighting Riva and the Inquisitors, and similar like I think mini boss, this potentially could be done in a single battle here with Darth Revan lead. I think Darth Revan lead could work better versus Riva or Malgus. I'm not sure. We'll have to try out and see which one works better. Again, just you know, continuing on this trend of trying to knock out other feats like Global Malgus feat. We have returned feat as well here and some staggers, so it doesn't look too complicated here in sector 3, as long as obviously you do have Malgus unlocked. So let's move on to sector 4 now. Yes, we still have Inquisitor feats, so you have to win 14 battles with Inquisitors, depending what you've got. If you got all of them, I mean, Riva, Grand Inquisitor, they totally smash anybody because Grand Inquisitor gets bonus turn. He does his AoE and basically wipes out the entire enemy team if you do have Amplify Agony equipped. If you don't have a Riva, Grand Inquisitor and the guys can still get the job done. And even without Grand Inquisitor in the past, as you've probably seen some of my older videos, even like Gear 8, Gear 9 Inquisitors, with the right data discs, you can potentially still get something done. And then we got the return of the Imperial Trooper feat again, kind of got 2 here Imperial Trooper teams, so we've got either, you know, your Veers or Iden as well. Iden Troopers also with Amplify Agony, they can do some nice damage, so hopefully shouldn't be too difficult. Then we've got the Evasion Down feat. So the easiest thing to do here really is 3PO and Chewie in a Rebel squad because on his basic he's applying Evasion Down. And then as well here, while you're knocking out, I guess, your Global Malgus feat, Basti as well applies Evasion Down on her special, I believe. And then Assassin, I believe, on her basic actually. So again, you'll be just kind of knocking these Evasion Downs while you're using Rebels and Sith Empire without any issues. Armor Shreddy is this one that, you know, you can find a way to cheese it, but you have to knock out your Inquisitors, you have to knock out your Imperial Trooper battles. And anyway, Gideon and 8th Brother and Riva, they all have armor shreds. So again, you'll have to do about, I don't know, 20 battles at least shared between these two teams. So then as long as you get one armor shred per battle, armor shred will take care of itself anyway. But obviously, if you do need to cheese it, you know, find yourself Hux node with color and unmasked, and then, you know, you just let the Terminator train with CLS, and then Sabine, she's a rebel, she's got armor shreds, so she can, you know, easily get a lot of armor shreds per battle as well. The mini boss again repeated, General Veers, so this was quite annoying last time, I remember. So what in the end worked best was Redis. So you have to have Starkiller surviving. Obviously, when we do Starkiller and Conquest, Omicron is not active, so I'm not sure would it under Palpatine lead or some other Starkiller team here will be better. You have Seer, Junda, maybe that could be better, but I think I'll just try the same as I did last time here with Redis, Han, and Chewie. And then Hoki Religions, same as I did last time, because their Piet I think is very fast. So just use Han, stun their Piet, then your troopers can get going and, you know, knock these guys out. And then final boss, we'll be battling Sol Guerrera, and you have to win with Trench surviving. So there you go, yet another Conquest unit we need to use here for the feats. So just some sort of, I guess, General Grievous Separatist squad. And then for the light side, you can just use anything really. I'm just maybe suggesting rebels here. So if you need to knock out more armor shreds with Sabine, you know, that could be useful. And then we are already on Sector 5 now. We have again return of the blind feat. So we could try and cheese a few things here as we've done before with Master Luke. Instead of throwing an extra Jedi in there, I'm throwing 3PO and Chewie. He's got that AoE blind. And then obviously we got here Yoda for the Foresight. Now I don't know, is this a mistake or not, but I think was it in Sector 2. So yeah, we had Sector 2 with Foresight, and looks like as well Sector 5 Foresight. I'm pretty sure that's a mistake, but that's what datamine shows at least. So we'll have to wait and see. Will we actually have Foresight feat twice this time? And then I'm throwing in Ezra as a Jedi, because in this sector we have to defeat enemies with Phoenix. So I thought that, you know, this might be the easiest way to do it if your Phoenix are not that good. You can just keep calling Ezra, or for that matter any other their Phoenix ally. Kanan is a Jedi, so I guess he's a good option as well. So whatever you've got there. And then for blind, I was actually looking through, and I never really realized that Omega's got blind on her basic if she's got evasion up. And anyway, Bad Batch Echo, he starts off with his AoE, applies evasion down on all your Bad Batch allies, and then anytime Omega uses basic, she will be applying blind. And once she's in stealth, she'll be assisting anytime your Bad Batch uses special ability. So this potentially could be a way to knock out blinds very quickly. I haven't tested it myself yet in Conquest, but definitely be trying it out this time. And we've got obviously Malgus. You know, you can with Malgus usually just get one blind per battle, but at least, you know, you work towards as well the global Malgus feat. And then as well, Fallen Basti, she puts Foresight on herself and the leader, and then Sith Assassin, she can put Foresight on her as well, so a little bit of extra Foresight for you. Otherwise, obviously, Jedi Luke also is a good way to, you know, get 1 or 2 blinds a battle, and you got Hermit Yoda for the Foresight. As mentioned before, we got a Phoenix feat here. I think I'll be doing Jedi Master Luke here feat, unless, I don't know, can you get something done? Like if you have solid Phoenix, this could be a good way to, you know, knock out the global Phoenix as well as Sector 5 Phoenix at the same time. But probably for my Phoenix, I don't know, I'll try it out, see if they can get something done. As mentioned before, a repeat of the Foresight, so kind of similar teams as before, with the Jedi Master Luke here. We got as well here Bad Batch with Tech, giving Foresight to your guys. Sith Empire as mentioned before, and also another actually very quick way to probably knock out Foresight feat in a one battle is with Qui-Gon lead. All your guys start with Foresight, or then anytime you defeat an enemy, which obviously got 5 enemies, you start with Foresight. So basically that's 30 Foresights already just by starting a battle and defeating obviously all the enemies. But then Mace got Foresight ability, Yoda Foresight, Master Kenobi Foresight, General Kenobi Foresight. So maybe this team can get all the Foresights in a single battle. I don't know, I'll test it out and I'll let you know. And finally, Flawless, obviously it's a generic feat. You just have to win without losing any units, so you can use really anything in here. I'm just kind of repeating some of the teams that I already shared with you for the Sector 5 as well as global feats. And finally, we got mini boss now. Again, I think this is the return of the Jedi Knight Revan squad we faced in previous round of Conquest. You have to meet Sith Empire. So it should be straightforward. I mean, Sith Empire has so much anti-Jedi stuff in there. You shouldn't have problems. And then for Hockey Religions, General Grievous is a good option. Or here I kind of try to use clones for the global clone feat. And as well some blinds there with Omega. And as well their final boss. Now this is a new boss, Ser Junda, and you have to win with Jedi Knight Kel, not with Cal Kestis, but Jedi Knight Kel. That was recently released a week or two ago, and it's already required in Sector 5. That's worth 5 key cards. I had a look at the GG data, and looks like there is about only 2,000 people that unlock Jedi Knight Kel, so most of us will not have him, so we're only missing 5 key cards there. So personally, I will obviously not be doing this one, and then Hockey Religions again, I will be trying out, see what works, if Bad Batch can get anything done versus Ser Junda. So there you go, guys. That's the rundown of all the feats for the upcoming free conquest that we have. Hopefully you found this video useful and helpful. Again, there'll be a link in the description below to my SWGOH for Life website. If you do need, obviously, to follow along my daily plan, or just need some ideas for discs and feats and things like that, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one, but until then, have fun, enjoy life, and may the RNG be with you, my friends.